What's up, peasants? I'm John, and this is Medieval Mindset, the channel where we take medieval principles and apply them to modern life. And if you've seen my previous video in this series, which like only 50 people have, you know that I'm currently training for a 50K ultramarathon in May, which is like 31 miles. But the special catch is that I'm doing it with medieval discipline and I'm documenting it on this channel. Now, most of us these days, myself included, are complete soft serve. And if some medieval peasant could get into a time machine and see how we're living, he would probably greatly disapprove and then immediately die of a heart attack as soon as someone shows him TikTok. But anyway, in my previous video, I did some weightlifting, which is kind of funny because it's supposed to be an ultramarathon training video. And in this one, I'm going to be doing some actual running because people have told me that if you're training for an ultramarathon, apparently you need to run. You're supposed to run. So that's what I'm doing in this one. Now, here's the problem. I'm set to run 7.5 miles today, but unfortunately it's freezing cold and raining outside, and I'm on the tail end of a nasty 10-day tango with the flu. So I'm going to have to do my least favorite thing and run on the treadmill. Now, obviously medieval people wouldn't have had access to a treadmill, but medieval people probably also would have died from the flu that I had. So I'm already living anachronistically, and I'm cutting myself a little bit of slack there. But anyway, an ultramarathon is an act of extreme endurance, but would there have been an equivalent in the medieval world? Why, yes, there would have been, and I'm so glad you asked. I know that's what you were wondering. Now, there were short foot races, but medieval people generally didn't do distance running just for the heck of it like we do, but they sure did do distance walking, and quite a lot of it. The really cool, hip thing to do in the Middle Ages was to go on a pilgrimage, which was a long journey to a place with a religious significance to pray, offer gifts, seek penance, or simply deepen your personal spiritual relationship with God. There were all kind of benefits that kind of trickled out of this because it created a sense of community and shared identity among believers, and it was the cool thing to do if you were a Christian, which everybody was. It provided financial opportunities for businesses who were like along the way if you were on a pilgrimage route. And it also became this big cultural trend that influenced art, architecture, literature. But what about the extreme endurance aspect? Sorry, I got a little off track there. Let's get back to what the video is supposed to be about. Medieval pilgrims often walked their pilgrimages, which would cover these huge distances. And one of the most famous examples was the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela in Spain. And it was a journey across the Pyrenees and northern Spain that spanned hundreds of miles. You can still do it today. So imagine walking hundreds of miles in shoes that were basically just thin leather pads. Actually, a lot of pilgrims walked barefoot as a sign of humility. So now imagine that too. So a 50K race in my brand new Asics that I just got in the mail is not sounding so bad. And also these pilgrimages would last months or even years, and it wasn't uncommon for pilgrims to die along the way. So hopefully I'm not going to die in this ultramarathon. But it wasn't just the distance that was rough, it was also the conditions, because these pilgrims carried all of their belongings on their backs, and they usually slept outside or in super crowded inns. And also they would get injured, like a lot. So if you fell and broke your ankle or anything else that could happen on these journeys, there was no modern medical treatment for you. There was no doctor there waiting to help you. You just kind of had to keep walking, but with a limp. But anyway, I've spewed enough facts at you. Let's get into the run.
All right, so here you see me starting out on the treadmill. Got a couple different angles of this run. Don't worry, we're not just stuck with this one, but it's that first 10 minutes of the run, that first 10, 20 minutes maybe when you're trying to get into the zone, and that's when it's mentally the hardest. And that's when you got to imagine you're a medieval pilgrim. It's, you've been walking for 100 miles, your foot hurts, and, you got to keep going because you just have a higher goal, a deeper spiritual goal. Had to hit you with a thumbs up there. Anyway, here's my little cinematography. I mean, look at this angle. First of all, look at my haunches. Like, look at those haunches. Everybody wants big haunches, but nobody wants to do heavy squats. And I've been doing some heavy squats. Actually, I've been doing lighter squats as I prepare for this ultramarathon. Less squats weight and more squat volume. But anyway, so I'm running. When I run, you'll notice I'm a 4-foot striker. The front of my foot hits the treadmill first. I just prefer to run that way. It's the most natural for me. And I've been running, hundreds of miles a year, close to 1,000 miles a year for 5 years now. And I've never really had a significant injury. So take notes from me and try to run on the balls of your feet a little bit more. Here, just another juicy angle. I mean, you get the full body shot. Now it looks like I'm running pretty slow here. And I feel like the treadmill is very deceptive. I felt like I was running at a good clip, but anyway, I was working up a sweat, and for a run where I wasn't able to get outside and kind of didn't want to risk dying in the elements as I recovered from the flu, I felt like I was really able to work up a good sweat and get some work going with this one. And I mean, it's one of those things where things will come up in your training, you'll get sick, you'll get injured, and you kind of just have to learn to push through and have a mentality of not giving up.
All right, well, honestly, considering I still kind of have a phlegmy cough from the flu and I'm still bouncing back, a pretty decent run, even though I usually hate running on the treadmill. And a good time to sit and reflect about what a medieval peasant, what a medieval pilgrim would have gone through. It wasn't always peasants. Obviously, a lot of the nobility and royalty went on pilgrimages too, but their experiences were considerably different than what a peasant would have gone through on a medieval pilgrimage. And that's kind of more so the experience that I'm thinking about and meditating on. But anyway, thank you for coming along with me on this journey. Watch me continue to train and just get super lean and shredded and jacked in a super medieval way for this series. Make sure to like and subscribe and come back for the next one.